right, everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly Delta Fishing Report for November 9th, and I want to start off with a big congratulations to Christian Ostrander. Most of you guys know Christian. He's a local guy out here. Just got back from a 2,000-mile journey over to Table Rock Lake where he competed in the Toyota MFL Championships. 200 boats, Christian made it to the top 10. He had a 7th place finish. I'm going to sit down with Christian and we're going to do an interview with him. And I'll talk to Christian about everything that, you know, his trip, what the heck he was eating over there, how he did in practice, talk about, you know, the whole experience. So I think that's going to be an interesting interview for us. And let's jump from there to a bit of a down note. The last couple weeks I've had quite a few reports of break-ins at the ramp. These are not specific to ramps here on the Delta. They've been all over. It seems like since the activity at the launch ramps have decreased a little bit, there's been less eyes on vehicles and there's been more people out, you know, looking around for these crimes of, I will just call them crimes of opportunity. One of the places that got hit pretty hard a couple weeks ago was hogback. I was out there fishing during that time. I noticed quite a bit of glass in the parking lot. Probably should have put two and two together. One of the guys that got broken in out there was Fong. And I talked to Alan a little bit about this, and from what I gather from Alan and a lot of the other people that have been sending in these little break-in alarms is the people are just coming by, they're looking in. In Alan's case, they broke the window and they pulled some change out of his cup holder. I think they also took his registration and a garage door opener, which is a little scary. But all in all, I just want to remind everybody, with fewer and fewer eyes on the vehicles at the parking lots, don't leave anything in your car. You might want to hide your registration and really, you know, keep your garage door opener out of sight. Just leave nothing in there. Make sure you're not leaving fishing gear in there or anything valuable, sunglasses, hats, nothing. They come by, they look in the window, there's nothing there, they're probably going to pass it up. So with that, let's get into the report. It's a good report this week, don't get me wrong. We're still catching fish. It's a little slower than it has been. The water temperatures are dipping a little bit, and it's going to get tougher and tougher. So one of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about before we actually get into the bite reports is what I'm going to be doing this winter. Last winter, I stuck it out on the Delta fishing a couple days every week, and it was an absolute grind. You guys know that, you know, when you were out here, it was just a funk. I'm not going to do that this winter. I will promise you I'm going to try to get out at least once a week to check out conditions, throw a line in the water, see if there's anything going. But I'm not going to really break my butt out here like I did last year. What I am going to try to do is when I'm out here, I'm probably going to be fishing a little bit more for striper. I want to concentrate maybe a few trips on crappie. I might do a couple crappie videos. And I'm going to be talking more and more to people that are around the central mother lode, so that if there is something going on at Maloney's or Berryessa or maybe Clear Lake, a better opportunity to catch some fish than what it would be here on the Delta, I'll give you guys a heads up on that. Still going to really be focusing on the Delta, but man, if it gets tough like it was last year, we need some opportunities to go out and catch a few fish. I'll keep you guys up on that. What else do I need to talk about? Hey, I got a picture here, and again, if you guys are out somewhere else, I got a picture of Tony here with a big mahi that he just caught down in Mexico. I thought I'd flash that up. You guys go out somewhere, get an interesting catch or a big fish catch, send it in. Send your reports and pictures to S. Cooper, that's SCOOPER 9561032 @gmail.com. All right, let's get into the report. And river conditions, the temperature has dropped down. You're going to see probably from 63 to 65, 66 degree water temps. You know, we had a big drop from about 72 down to about 66, 67, 5, 6, 7 degrees in about a week. Now it's kind of leveling out. As long as that water temperature stays in the mid-60s, I think the bite is going to continue. Now, as it gets down into the mid-50s, and for me, That 56, 57 degree water temps, that usually signals that's when the fishing is going to get real tough. So we may have another week or two of that, you know, mid 60 to low 60, high 50s temperature, where we're still going to be able to do pretty well on these Florida strain largemouth bass. Now, as the water temperature gets a little cooler, we should expect the stripers to come in. Crappie are going to be, they're starting to bite right now, and I know we don't talk a lot about crappie, but I'm going to try to do a couple videos on crappie fishing and pan fishing out here in the winter. But you can expect about 65 degree water temps out here with about anywhere from 2 to 6 or 8 feet of visibility depending on where you're at. What's been going on with the stripers? All in all, it's been a little slower. It's just that time of year. There's a little lag in the striper fishing. I got a report from my neighbor Terry, who was weighmaster at a striper tournament from a group from Lodi. They were out at Brandon Island. 46 boats. They had 20 fish weighed in. Out of those 20 fish, one angler had 4 of those fish. Everybody was fishing pretty close to Brandon Island, out at the the west bank. Some guys went down 3 Mile Slough into the delta. Sure, there were some guys up by Sherman Island. Most of them were trolling or bait fishing, and they found real slow conditions out there. So that's one report on the stripers out that way. I did talk to Alan Fong this week. He's in Texas doing a little deer hunting, but he did get out a little bit earlier in the week. And he was concentrating on crappie. And I can tell you this, when Alan's concentrating on crappie, probably not a lot of stripers in the system. I do know that the stripers that are being caught around Liberty Island it's quality, not quantity. There's not a lot of fish coming in. The guys that are throwing big swim baits and are dedicated fishermen are getting some nice fish, a lot of fish in the teens. So take that into consideration. The fishing here on the Central Delta for stripers has been slow. I talked to Rob Cloutier. He's reporting a lot of the bass anglers are kind of not seeing many stripers, and when they are catching stripers on their jerk baits and rattle traps and that sort of bait, they're smaller fish, undersized fish. I talked to Bill, who is kind of the, we'll call him the mayor of Paradise Point. He's the manager out there, and he talks to a lot of people at the ramp. He reported that a lot of the local guys that are out really putting in their time, they're coming in with 1 or 2 fish, fishing live bait out here, and a lot of guys just, are having a very difficult time putting in more than 1 or 2 fish a day here on the Central Delta. Now, on a high note, I talked to Jeff Suhu. Jeff has been out this week and he's done really well, but Jeff said it's not easy. He had to really work for his fish. He's burning a ton of gas, running around, and he's finding spots that not only have fish in them but are at the right tide, and there's been a ton of this vegetation and hyacinth that's broken up. You got to find the right spot at the right time when there's not a lot of floating vegetation, so you can get your baits down into the water and actually fish them, get them down to the fish and let the fish find them and pick them up. So with that, think about this next week coming up. We're going to get some rain. The water temperatures are going to continue to drop, and I think at that point we're going to see a lot better striper fishing. Give it a week or two, and I think we'll be into the winter striper fishing, and I think it's going to be a good year. One of the other things that Jeff happened to say, and everybody else is saying, that everything's been late. No reason why the stripers aren't going to follow. So let's keep an eye on that, and hopefully when that gets going, I'm going to be out there really chasing stripers around. Another thing we'll talk about, man, there's more salmon in the river. Everybody seems to be catching salmon, and I know everybody knows they are. You shouldn't be targeting fish. The salmon season is closed out here, but we're all going to be catching fish. I've been still catching salmon where I'm at with rattle traps, and really, if that's a good bait if you want to fish for stripers, largemouth, or catch an occasional salmon. Throw on a chrome rattle trap with a black or a blue back, and you're probably going to have a chance to get all 3 of those species out here in the Delta right now. If you catch a salmon, I've been getting pictures of a lot of guys holding salmon up in the boat. That's illegal. If somebody from Fish and Game is watching you, you're probably got a chance of getting popped. So what you need to do is keep that fish in the water. If you can bend down and get a fish, get your partner to take a picture of it while you're bending over in the water, get that, and then release the fish. We're hoping that some of those fish get up the McCollum and the Sacramento River and spawn. So keep that in mind if you do catch a salmon. Let's start with the largemouth bass, and I want to highlight one of the subscribers and guys that sends in a lot of weekly reports, Frank. And we all know this situation. Frank went out last week. It was on one of those days where he probably thought, you know, I get to go out today, but it's, you know, it looks like the wind's going to be blowing, looks like it's going to be a crappy day. I don't know if I'm going, I'm staying, should I watch TV, watch a football game? Frank went out. He reported 20-mile-an-hour plus winds. Fishing was colder than heck, or the weather was colder than heck, and that, you know, we've all been there. We get out there and we think, oh man, I should have never came out this day. Well, Frank reported he had his best day of the year. Caught fish all day long. He's fishing robo worms, curly tail worms with split shot, and his key to success was he just kept moving. He caught fish all day. And it sounds like everywhere he moved, he caught fish, and we've been talking about that, you know, how the fish don't seem to be grouped up as much as they were in the summer. So Frank kept moving, just throwing worms, caught a ton of fish. Congratulations, Frank. We've all been in that situation where we wondered if we should have even went out, and then we had one of those days, and it's good to hear about that every now and then. Rob Cloutier, he was out. He had about a 50-fish day, had a great day, had one fish that he said was probably 8 to 10 pounds. Got off at the boat. He picked up his fish on mostly search baits, spinner baits and chatter baits. And again, I know Rob, I fish with Rob, and he moves around quite a bit. So he's not, you know, fishing one point or anything. He's moving around, he's fishing, he's throwing fast-moving baits. There are still some big fish being caught on topwater. We got Harold here with an 8-pounder. He got that on a whopper plopper. Now, the last time I was out throwing topwaters, I was getting them on walking baits and still picking up some fish. It's not like it was a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It's starting to taper off, but you still have an opportunity to get a big fish on a topwater or maybe a wake bait if you're throwing that. Deep Vive Bass, he was out. He was having a hard time. He's out here quite a bit, but he started throwing flukes, and that was his key to success. He caught quite a few fish on flukes. He threw donkey rig, which is a 2-fluke rig. Wasn't really picking up anything on there, but when he went to a single fluke and he just throwing out dead sticking, not moving a lot, that's how he started catching his fish. So I'll let you in on what I did this week, and I was gone for a couple of days, so I didn't get out as much as I normally did, but I got out a couple of days ago, and I ended up fishing not for salmon. I was fishing for stripers, but we were in a slough and there was a bunch of salmon in there, and we were throwing rattle traps with a blue or a black back, and we caught salmon, had fun with them. We didn't catch any stripers, but we were catching largemouth bass in the same place that the salmon were holding, over these kind of flats and in little pockets of the flats and on the edges of the flats. So once again, I'll say we got a helicopter coming over here, but I'm going to fight through this. If you come out, throw some moving baits. If you're throwing chatter baits, you got a chance to catch a striper, a salmon, or a largemouth bass. Worms are working out here. There is a slight topwater bite, but I would not, you know, get out here and try to work that for too long. You know, if you got one of these days where it's sunny and then it's cloudy and you got a little wave action, definitely keep a topwater on, throw it occasionally, but mostly spinner baits, crankbaits. If you want to slow down, throw a worm. Rob Cloutier did say that some of the guys coming into the shop say they're still catching them punching. So it's kind of a mixed bag here. But if I was coming out, especially if you're only coming out once a week, I would stay moving and stay with those spinner baits, chatter baits, crankbaits, you know, flukes, things like that you can cover some water with. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know I missed my video for this Tuesday. I'm going to try to put a video up on Cinco's next Tuesday, so stay tuned, and we'll try to do a few more bait reviews and different things this winter to keep everything interesting for my Tuesday videos. And remember, I will be here every week throughout the winter. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the river. Good luck.